Yesterday, the Senate blocked a bill that would have created this commission. So I'll issue an executive order that will allow us to go forward, because I refuse to pass this problem on to another generation of Americans. In the next few weeks, I will sign an executive order.
And tonight, the vetting of the president continues as we bring you another edition of The Real Obama. Now, in this installment, we shine the spotlight on an executive order that the White House was hoping that you would never learn about. Now, the president signed the National Defense Resources Preparedness Executive Order late Friday afternoon. And since that time, now the measure has been virtually ignored by the mainstream media. Now, the order essentially gives the president of the United States absolute power over any and all American resources during both times of peace and national crisis. Now, this includes, but is not limited to, food and livestock, water, plants, energy, health resources, transportation, and construction materials, and gives the government the ability to, quote, control the general distribution of any material, including applicable services, in the civilian market. Now, White House Press Secretary Jay Carney laughed off a question about the document at today's briefing. Let's take a look.
There's been some online commentary suggesting this gives the executive branch power to allocate energy, food, water in either peacetime or wartime. And there are some conservative blogs that are pushing the notion that this suggests the White House is preparing for war with Iran. Can you explain what this executive order was?
Well, I cannot explain that reaction to it. I think it was a fairly standard and routine piece of business.
Now, not everybody's laughing about this executive order. In fact, some have suggested this would give the President of the United States the authority to declare basically martial law during times of peace. And to be sure, this is simply the latest string of actions taken by the administration that ignore the basic principles of our Constitution.
U.S. President Barack Obama has issued an executive order allowing the White House to control all private communications in the country. Obama says this is to ensure national security, but privacy advocacy groups say the aim is to give the government unprecedented control over wired and wireless private networks.
While you weren't looking, President Obama gave the government a new power. Just this past Friday, he quietly implemented an executive order that reprioritizes communications through a special White House-chosen committee in case of a national emergency. So, say a war breaks out or a hurricane blasts the Gulf Coast. In those cases, President Obama says, and I'm going to quote him, the federal government must have the ability to communicate at all times and under all circumstances to carry out its most critical and time-sensitive mission.
Now, I know some people want me to bypass Congress and change the laws on my own. Believe me. And believe me, right now dealing with Congress, the idea But believe me, the idea of doing things on my own is very tempting. I promise you, not just on immigration reform. But that's not how our system works.